Chapter 501. Teaching. To be honest, Ria seriously felt that the government was making money from the method that she told them. Then again, when she sold the method to them, she didn't do it for free. They also bleed a lot. "Is this what you made yourself, master?" Reuben asked curiously. "Yes, why?" "Because the highest-ranked magic beast's blood sold by the government is only rank 2, Reuben said with a flat tone. He shrugged. It seems that they hadn't sold out the rank 3 magic beast's ink yet. Ria heard it and nodded. She was not surprised that the government didn't sell the rank 3 magic beast's blood ink yet. After all, they would want to hold the monopoly in their hand and made sure that they were ahead from others. Aside from Ria and her disciple, which they definitely couldn't compare, they didn't want other people to be ahead of them in terms of runes and formation. So the best way to limit this was through limiting the magic beast's ink. Ria felt that it was fine. After all, the government and military were needed to maintain the society, and even if they were ahead, they knew what they could and couldn't do. It would be better than the monopoly being held by someone bad. Well, just practice well. Also, you can wash the magic beast's blood by yourself next time. I have taught you the method. Ria waved her hand lazily. Reuben looked at his teacher helplessly. Since Ria was too lazy to provide Reuben with all of the resources for his practice, she simply told him how to get it himself. Aside from making the paper, she basically told him the method of using the metal that was processed and how to make the ink. In this way, he could figure his practice on his own. Well, having such a teacher was really... But Ria still taught him well, so Reuben didn't have any other complaints. Anyway, he was able to learn so many things and become a second-rank Runemaster thanks to Ria. Of course, his rank as magician was higher. But he would not say this in front of Ria. Because the image of magicians in the green planet is, hey, let's not talk about it. Anyway, no one dared to say that Runemaster is also a magician in front of Ria. They will selectively separate these two terms. Yes, I'll hunt more magic beasts in the future, Reuben said with a grin. Ria looked at Reuben and then arched her eyebrows. You know, the income from making magic scrolls are not low at all. In the beginning, Ria sold a lot of space storage scrolls for magic beasts' corpses. At first, she only sold the rank 1 space storage scrolls, but after a while, she chose to also sell the rank 2 space storage scrolls. Anyway, after some optimization, the ordinary paper only needed to be modified slightly to be able to hold the rank 2 formation. For a while, Ria was really busy making the rank 2 space storage scrolls. Aside from her, no one else could make it. But the rank 1 space storage scroll could be made by Reuben. Once he managed to make it, Ria handed him to Samuel, letting him replace her in writing the rank 1 space storage scrolls. As for what Samuel negotiated with the government for him, Ria didn't know. It didn't matter. The income from rank 2 space storage scroll was too much. The price of various magic scrolls are no longer as high as they used to be, Master, Reuben said weakly. Since there were more and more Runemasters, the price for low-rank talisman and magic scrolls has been lowered. It was impossible for Reuben to earn a lot of resources like Ria did. Even the space storage scroll? Ria asked in confusion. Isn't space storage scroll still quite popular? Reuben looked at Ria quietly. Master, ever since the rank 2 space storage scroll came out, not many people are willing to buy the rank 1 space storage scroll unless they're really poor and need it. Ria coughed and looked away. It seemed that this was indeed her fault. You can make rank 2 space storage scroll, right? Ria turned her head to look at Reuben once again. She remembered that she had taught Reuben how to make rank 2 space storage scrolls in the past. Reuben nodded. Yes, but space storage scroll consumed too much mana and I don't plan to practice making it all the time. Unlike Ria, who was making any kind of magic scrolls just to practice her hand speed in drawing runes, Reuben was practicing to be proficient in various types of runes and formation. Because of this, he would not repeatedly practice the same formation and runes once he had mastered them to a certain degree. Moreover, he already had more than enough space storage scrolls around him. Speaking about space storage scrolls, Ria had made a rank 4 space storage scroll that could be bound to a person's mana. So the space storage scrolls for all of them in the small team were all rank 4 space storage scrolls. Could only be opened by them. If other people tried to open it, they would be attacked by the formation set in the formation instead. But it was not completely perfect. If there were a rank 5 Rune Master, it was not impossible for that person to crack the formation and open the space storage scroll. In other words, if Rhea wanted to, she could easily do that. As for others, so far, no one else but Rhea was capable of doing that. Right? Rhea shrugged. Then up to you. You can practice whatever you want. Ruben nodded. Oh, one more thing. Do you think I should take another disciple? Given by how you teach me, I don't think it's a good idea, Master. Chapter 502 Work. Rhea. She looked at Ruben and rolled her eyes. You're saying that I'm a bad master? No. Ruben quickly shook his head. I mean, you're too good to teach others, Master. So it's enough to have me as your student. He was sure that if he dared to say that Rhea is a bad master, he would not be able to come out of the Jones family residence alive. Rhea snorted. Go back and practice. Don't say that you're my student if you still can't make proper rank 2 magic scrolls. Bang! Ruben was kicked out and he scratched the back of his head helplessly. It seemed that he had to work overtime again to finish both his work and his study. Hey, it was indeed very tiring. While Rhea stayed in the Jones family residence and planned to play in her world again, Samuel was looking at his father speechlessly. What the hell with the people outside the office? Samuel asked with a deadpan expression. The temperature has become colder and most people would definitely wear thick clothes unless they have the warm talisman to let themselves stay warm. This made the attire of the people in City of Base to vary from people who looked like a ball because of many layers of clothes he wore, and also someone who looked like he was going to the beach because he had a warm talisman hung on his neck. But most people could already afford the warm and cool talisman. The price of these talismans were only 1 contribution point to buy 2 of them. The reason why it was so cheap was because the government had a few rune masters dedicated writing warm talisman every day and brought it to various bases. These were important for their survival. Otherwise, everyone might freeze to death. And when Samuel came back, he saw that there was a crowd of people, most of them wearing thick clothes, gathered in front of his father's office. Some of them were carrying written board and some other carried banner and so on. Just from looking at their appearance, Samuel had a guess that they should be protesting. But what the hell are they protesting about to his father? It's a long story. Mr. Jones looked very tired when he looked at the commotion outside. He honestly didn't understand what these people wanted either. City of Base was doing well and everyone was happy. But it was not enough. At least not for some people. Then make it short, father. Samuel rolled his eyes. He wouldn't stay in City of Base all the time because he often headed into the crack to hunt for some magic beasts and clean them up. But he still had to help managing some things in City of Base. Some people say that the price of food should be lowered after the base is doing well. They're not happy that the price of food is very expensive, Mr. Jones replied. Moreover, they said that the warm talisman should be distributed for free instead of being paid with contribution points. He looked at the demands written on a paper in front of him and felt too lazy to care about these people. The more he read it, the more he wanted to tear this paper apart. Samuel frowned and asked, "Who lead them?" "Mr. Black," Mr. Jones replied, "and a few more others who had some small position in the base." He showed the list to Samuel. Mr. Black? It took Samuel a few seconds to remember this name. If he was not wrong, this was the man who had a villa in this area, which was why he was able to stay in City of Base from the very beginning. But the thing that made Samuel remember this man the most was because he caused a magic beast tied to City of Base last year. It was still in the early stage of building and they couldn't afford to face so many magic beasts. It took them some time to clean up the magic beasts. Is he still dissatisfied with the fact that the resources in his hand is taken away? Samuel asked. It seems so. In order to make up for the losses of various things and casualties after the magic beast's tide happened, they asked Mr. Black to hand over the resources to City of Base and almost didn't give him anything. Later on, they also asked him to give information about his other warehouses where he stored his supplies. And the base took most of them for their own based on the agreement with him. Could be said that the base had profited a lot from this deal. But Mr. Black suffered some losses. He had no ability to take the resources on his own, and now he's blaming the base? Samuel arched his eyebrows. Can I kill him now? He had felt that Mr. Black was very annoying for a long time, but he had never made a move before because his father warned him not to be too extreme. After all, City A base would be an official base and not a private base. Even if it was a private base, Samuel never had the intention of killing people arbitrarily either, though. He's not a bloodthirsty murderer. I won't stop you if you want to, Mr. Jones said calmly. Samuel looked at his father. I thought that you all told me not to kill other people. To be honest, Samuel didn't have much interest in killing people if unnecessary. But if he had to kill someone, then he will do it. In that world, he had killed many people because of various reasons. And Samuel would not flinch back. Because there were many situations of kill or be killed in that world to the point that he was somewhat numb. The real battle was not like the spar with the other young masters and young misses. It's the place where every mistake could cost one's life. Chapter 503. Rebellion. So if one didn't want to die, they had to do it. The laws are different. Mr. Jones shrugged at his son and then added, Besides, even if I told you not to kill him, I don't think that you will listen to me. He could see that his son has his own ideas and Mr. Jones didn't want to control this matter. Also, if violence can solve the problem, you can do it directly. In this time, only those with bigger fist has the right to speak, and Mr. Jones understood this deeply. While he couldn't say that he completely agreed with this approach, but if it was for the best, then he would support it. You've changed, father. Samuel smiled faintly. But I guess it's a good thing. If his father didn't dare to kill the troublemakers in City A base, Samuel was thinking of taking over the position for a while, because he didn't want City A base to be filled with annoying people like this. But it was impossible to eliminate all of them directly, so it's better to teach them some lessons. Yes. Mr. Jones arched his eyebrows and sat down leisurely. Why do you think I've changed and it's not my real personality? I don't know, Samuel said stubbornly. He's only guessing anyway. Mr. Jones. Go and deal with those people. Yes. TSK, you just want me to be the one to do it, so that I can be the bad guy, aren't you? Hearing his son's mockery, Mr. Jones shook his head and said nothing. Sometimes he felt that Samuel was truly asking for a beating, and it was even more so lately. But seeing such a lively Samuel was also pretty good. He might be affected because of going into the crack most of the time. Samuel didn't have time to regulate his emotion much, so the best thing they could do was to joke around from time to time. After all, if they continued to kill the magic beasts without stopping, one's heart and mind would be tired too. This was something that the soldiers also experienced, and Mr. Jones had heard about it from his friends. So seeing his son becoming a bit annoying, he just leave him be. Samuel wiped his smile as he walked out and looked at the crowd of people in front of the office. Well, to be exact, one street away from the office, because the military blocked the road and no one was allowed to enter unless they were part of the officials in City A base. We need more food. We need the talisman free of charge. We need to live. Don't be so greedy, you officials. Seeing the slogan these people shouted, Samuel had a blank look on his face and he rolled his eyes. He felt that these people were really stupid and that they should have known better, that the main reason why they could be here was because the base gave them a chance. Without the base's protection for them so far all these years, how could it be possible for them to survive? Now, they wanted more welfare for themselves. What makes you think that the base has to fulfill your wishes? Samuel asked as he stood in front of these people. His expression was calm and collected, not afraid of these people in the slightest bit. Most of them were ordinary people, and only a few of them were rank 1 magic warrior. Since they were far weaker than Samuel, he could sense their aura and gauge their strength. It was just that they were simply too weak in his eyes. We're the backbone of the bases. It's our human rights. You have no right to stop us from getting our rights. These people recognized Samuel since Samuel had appeared in front of them a few times in the past. But they didn't intend to stop, even if they knew that Samuel is the strongest magic warrior nearby. Even if he's strong, so what? All magic warrior had to follow the law. So they dared to speak up to Samuel and raised their request high. They wanted to get more and better treatment in Cydia base. Samuel saw their look and sneered. The laws have been made, and if you don't want to work, you can't get anything. Go back to your work and don't make trouble here. How many people loved to do demonstration? They felt that as long as they showed their little fist, they could achieve whatever they wanted. It was also because of this that there were a lot of demonstration in the past. In the early days of the last days, these people didn't make trouble because they had to adapt to the new environment and the situation. But now, they were getting more comfortable and felt that they could do something for themselves. You can't just ignore us. Yes, we won't leave until we achieve our goal. These people shouted out loud, driving the crowd to continue with their protesting method. Samuel looked at the crowd of people in front of him thoughtfully. Appeal to the government that the Jones family are abusing their power and that they didn't want to listen to the people's words. It's not fair. Yes, it's not fair. Before they could speak out loudly, a flash of light appeared and a few people's heads were severed. Blood spurted out, followed by the fall of these people's bodies. Thud, thud, thud. Kai ah, ah. The people nearby were stunned and then screamed out loud. The feeling of blood on their bodies gave them goosebumps, and they looked at the few corpses nearby in fear. Some of them pointed at Samuel and wanted to yell once more, but Samuel released his killing intent, causing these people to suffocate. As a person who had killed millions of magic beasts, how could his killing intent be small? It instantly enveloped everyone in the area. Chapter 504. Setting up an example. Suffocation. It was hard to breathe. These people all looked at Samuel and fear crept out in their hearts. Most of them were only ordinary people and they didn't have any strength or ability that was beyond normal humans. Some of them truly didn't have the talent, but some others were simply too lazy. They gathered in front of the building, hoping that they could change their fate and made their lives easier through this demonstration. But Samuel didn't care about them at all. He saw that none of them dared to move under his suppression, and he snorted. Cydia base will help to protect the people and provide living place. But if you want anything, you have to follow the rules and regulation. If you think that you can coerce the higher-ups to follow your wishes, who do you think you are? The world has changed, and now, those who could speak are those who had enough power. If you want to change the laws, show to me that you have the strength to back it up, because any change has to be followed by countless other changes. Samuel swept his gaze across the people and said coldly, "As of now, you're nothing more than a group of ungrateful people who didn't know how to feel thankful for what you have. If you truly want more resources, fight for it with your own strength rather than making trouble everywhere and think that if you do so, you can coerce others to follow your wishes. The base is built for the sake of preserving humanity and to let ordinary people survive. But if you all become a white-eyed wolf who only know how to bite the hands that feed you, why should I keep you here? Ridiculous." The last word made the people felt that their heart has been stabbed. They were unwilling to be called that way by Samuel and glared in his direction. But the sense of suppression emitted by Samuel was still exceptionally strong. No one dared to look up. Samuel retracted the killing intent and looked at Commander nearby and said, "If there's anyone who make trouble again, kick them out of Cydia base. Anyway, the road is almost done and they could make their way to other bases. I'm sure that if they think Cydia base is not accommodating enough, they can find a better place in other bases." "Yes, Mr. Samuel." The commander bowed politely, not daring to refuse at all. Right now, the aura that Samuel emitted was simply too scary, and it made people unwilling to look in his direction. Even though Samuel had already retracted the killing intent, the image that he showed just now has been imprinted deep in their minds. Many of them were terrified. Samuel didn't pay attention to this matter and walked back to his father's office. Everyone disperse. This time, most of them didn't dare to make trouble anymore. But some of them were still unconvinced and yelled, which the commander directly gave order to kick out of the base. Seeing the military's tough stance, it did scare most people. Only the few stubborn ones were threatening that they would make report to the higher-ups and let them be punished. If the higher-ups can control these returnees, the situation would not be like this. The commander sneered at these people's threat. What a joke. Those who were of high position knew very well that no weapon that the higher-ups mastered could threaten these people. Unless they wanted to threaten using their family members, but at that time these returnees might go crazy. Besides, not all of them have family members whom they cared for. Some of them were already orphans, some others have a estranged relationship with their family, and so on. So it was simply impossible to control them. And the higher-ups didn't want to make enemies out of these returnees either, even if their army had already become stronger. But these returnees' strength was not weak either. In fact, they seemed to be far stronger than them. Trying to catch up with these people had already caused despair for most people in the entire world. At this time, Samuel had walked to his father's office and said, "I have killed Mr. Black and the few people who are leading the people." He knew very well that, for these kinds of demonstration, not all people were there because of the so-called cause. They were there for the sake of benefit that was offered by those who started the demonstration. For example, food, contribution points, and so on. Samuel didn't care too much about these ordinary people. They were simply being used, but they didn't know that and followed because they could get small benefits. So he ignored them. Anyway, if they were smart enough, they would know that they would not be able to gain anything more from this incident. "Good." Mr. Jones nodded with a bright smile. "I know I can rely on you, Sam." Samuel rolled his eyes. "Is there anything else? Are you in such a hurry to go back?" "I think that it's better for me to practice rather than being used by you," Samuel replied with a shrug. While he didn't mind making a move from time to time, he didn't want to do it all the time. It was not that very comfortable to take action against ordinary people. After all, Samuel was also taught righteousness and others. He didn't mind making profit through business, but there had to be a bottom line. Attacking ordinary people and made their lives suffer was something that he couldn't do. All right, I won't hold you back." Mr. Jones shook his head and then thought about something. "Also, Peter might want to look for you after he knows that you're here." "Ah!" Thinking about being asked to spar again by Peter, Samuel had an indescribable expression on his face. He could only sigh bitterly and nodded at his father as he slipped away. He had no intention to stay here any longer. Without hesitation, Samuel headed to the back mountain right outside City A base. This area was secluded and it bordered the farm area of City A base. Not many people came here because they were afraid of encountering magic beasts. "Are you all right?" Chapter 505. Blocking Function. Samuel turned his head and looked at Rhea in surprise. "Why are you here?" "I have finished my work and plan to go back, but I sense that killing intent," Rhea replied as she walked forward slowly. "Aside from you and Peter, I can't think of anyone else who could do it. After that kind of thing, I guess that you should be here." She didn't explain why she was here, but she explained her thought process before she came here. "Right?" Samuel sighed and nodded. He thought about those people who came to provoke his father and felt a bit irritated for some reason. While half of his performance was acting, the other half was true irritation because of these white-eyed wolf. These people might not understand that their action might be used by others to follow and try to make their demands too. If there were a lot of demonstration on the street, how could City A base operate normally and protect the people? So Samuel was indeed irritable. There were already many magic beasts out there and possibly threat from other continents because of the competition between them. Now they wanted to make trouble by making demonstration because they felt that their lives are not good enough. How ridiculous. "There are some people who made trouble and I scare them away," Samuel said lightly and then looked at the open field on the side. The open field was not formed naturally. It was formed because of repeated spar between Samuel and Peter when the latter came to challenge Samuel. "Make trouble," Rhea repeated and nodded slightly. "If you feel it's troublesome to deal, you can just activate the formation to kick them out of City A base's area." Samuel looked at Rhea speechlessly. "Do they have to be so exaggerated?" Rhea looked at Samuel innocently. "The formation also has the function of blocking. So if you want to target specific people and prevent them from entering City A base, you can do it through the formation." Hearing this, Samuel was speechless and then laughed. "It's really convenient. Those whom you don't want to enter will never be able to enter. How to designated them?" Rhea smiled when she saw Samuel laughing. It's not that hard. Didn't I give your father the formation plate? You can control it through the formation plate. After that, Rhea explained the operation simply to Samuel, letting him understood that the formation plate actually has more functions. I didn't know a formation plate actually has so many functions. Samuel only thought that it was used to activate and close a formation. But now, Rhea showed him that there were actually a lot more uses for the formation. Rhea chuckled. Unless you're a formation master, most people will not control a formation plate and will only use the magic scrolls. I guess in your family in that world, there should be an elder specialized in controlling formation so others didn't know the details. Samuel coughed and nodded with some embarrassment. That was true. In his family in that world, there was someone who specialized in arranging formation and also activating it when there was a need. As for himself, he had no talent in formation and naturally didn't have much interest about this. So most of his knowledge about formation came from Rhea. Well, I'll leave this to my father. Does he have any talent for formation? Samuel asked curiously.
No.
Uncle Jones didn't have any talent for formation. Rhea had tried to teach Mr. Jones how to draw runes and formation. Unfortunately, Mr. Jones didn't have any talent for formation and the result was really bad. She could only directly stuff him with the knowledge of how to control the formation plate. Otherwise, it was estimated that Mr. Jones would still be clueless about the formation plate that she gave to him. So it's genetic. Samuel nodded. Rhea laughed and shook her head. Uncle Jones will beat you up if he heard what you said. Let him beat me up if he can. Samuel didn't care about the fact that his father wanted to beat him up. Mr. Jones had already beat him up a lot when he was young because he caused a lot of troubles back then. Rhea smiled. And at this moment, they heard rustling and then a boom. Samuel, now that you're back, fight me. Samuel and Rhea. The two of them looked at Peter, who came and sighed deeply. After getting Rhea's approval to draw runes on his clothes so that it could fit him, Peter directly made customized clothes for himself. After it was done, Rhea looked at his clothing and looked at Peter with dumbfounded expression. But seeing his eager eyes, she could only agree on the spot. As for the clothing customized for her, Rhea directly asked for a normal shirt and pants plus mage robe. As for the color, she picked purple because she liked it. It looked regal and good. Well, back to the topic. Peter was wearing sportswear in bright red color. At the same time, there was a set of gloves that he wore to protect his hand. The clothing design itself was not a problem. But the problem is the red color. Not that the color is bad, but he looked very conspicuous. No matter where Peter go, many people would look in his direction because of the bright red color from his clothing. No, Samuel refused. Why not? It has been a long time since our last spar. Peter complained and wanted to attack Samuel directly. Anyway, they were already on the field outside City A base. Even if he attacked Samuel here, it would be fine. Samuel narrowed his eyes when he saw Peter's stance. He knew very well that this man was ready to attack him and readied his hand on the side. If Peter were to attack him, he would be ready to unsheath his sword and counterattack. Bang! Chapter 506. Emergency Request. Peter frowned and looked at Rhea. Samuel also turned his head to look at Rhea. Let's not fight today. Rhea pointed at the distance. There's a messenger coming here, and if you start fighting, he'll be swept away by the waves. The fight between Samuel and Peter has never been a small battle. Once they started fighting, the waves produced by their battle would be more than enough to sweep others away. She will be fine, but if there were others, it was hard to say that they would be fine. After all, not everyone was as strong as these two people. Even if they were only standing at the periphery, the effect from their battle was more than enough to injure ordinary people. The difference between magic warriors and ordinary people was indeed big. And so far, the higher-ups have been using various methods to ensure this matter would not become a problem. They didn't want the magic warrior to be out of touch with ordinary people. Humph! You're lucky this time. Peter snorted and could only stop himself. Samuel arched his eyebrows. You have never defeated me in the past. That's because you're too lucky. I think it should be because I'm stronger than you. Let's fight again. Peter gnashed his teeth, feeling that Samuel was really annoying today. Looking at this man in front of him, Peter really wanted to step forward and landed a punch on the other party's face. Rhea looked at these two people and silently looked at the sky. After watching their spar from time to time, Rhea came to know about their so-called grievances. To be honest, it was nothing more than the two of them fought bitterly in that world and Peter lose badly. He felt that he should have won, so he continued to challenge Samuel. In any case, Peter improved rapidly in battle, so this was a good thing for him. Only Samuel was annoyed because Peter kept on coming to challenge him from time to time. Because of this, he almost never held back when facing Peter, beating up that man so badly every single time. Though Peter would come hopping again the next day as if asking for another beating. No! Samuel refused immediately, as if he would agree with Peter's request for battle. Only an idiot would agree to fight with Peter all the time. TSK. Then Rhea. How about if we have a battle? Peter clicked his tongue and turned to look at Rhea.
No.
You can't defeat my defense and there's no point in fighting you. Rhea replied without hesitation. Whenever she fought against Peter, she would definitely set up her protective rune circle. Fighting against Peter with her body directly? Unless her head is kicked by donkey, she would never do that. TSK, your turtle shell is really hard. Peter pouted and crouched on the ground to draw circles. He felt that these two people were both very shameless. One kept on beating him up during the spar and the other kept on hiding. The most ridiculous thing is that Peter knew that if he were to wait for the protective rune circle to dissolve on its own, he might need to wait until the end of his life. Because he knew that some rune masters would add mana gathering formation into their protective rune circle. This was an open secret in that world. So when they saw a protective rune circle around a rune master, there were only 3 methods to break it. One is to hit it hard enough to break through the defense in one go. The second one is to beat it up continuously until the recovery could not keep up with the consumption, in which the protective rune circle will be broken on its own. And the last one was to dismantle it with runes or to figure out the weakness and hit it hard. The last method is clearly method reserved for other rune masters. Because other people could not use runes and couldn't see the protective rune circle's weakness so easily.
Draw.
Drap. Just as Peter was still drawing circle, a messenger came running and stopped in front of Samuel, panting. Young master, there's a report from City H, City I, City J, and City K, all requesting for help. There's a massive beast tied there, the messenger said. Beast tied? The moment the 3 of them heard that, their expression became solemn. Peter also stood up and stopped his action of drawing circle and frowned. How could the beast tide happen? Every city base would send people to actively clean up the magic beasts from time to time, even though most of them would not go into the crack like Samuel and Rhea, but the soldiers were still working actively to kill magic beasts. Otherwise, it was impossible to send a few hundred tons of magic beasts' corpses to Rhea every month. In this situation, it was close to impossible for beast tide to happen, unless they missed a place, or these magic beasts came out of the crack all at once. Let's go back. Samuel sighed. He had just returned from taking their revenge against that lich and now they should depart once again. But considering his position and ability, Samuel could only hurry back. The other 2 following behind him. What's the current situation? All bases are holding up and trying their best to resist, but the number of magic beasts kept on increasing and they could only try to keep them on bay. The higher-ups are already planning to use the nuclear weapon. The messenger quickly said everything he knew. Nuclear weapon? Their hearts turned cold when they heard that. While the nuclear weapon is very strong, but the aftermath would make the place unlivable. These 4 cities' bases were located near each other and for the higher-ups to want to give up the 4 bases, it was clear that the situation is very dire. Where did these magic beasts came from? The messenger didn't know the answer. Wait, isn't Dina and Ruth are in City J? Samuel suddenly remembered something. Chapter 507. Emergency Request. 2. City bases guarded by the returnees should be stronger than other bases. Because if there was any emergency, these people could come up with power stronger than others? This? I don't know. The messenger was only a messenger who was responsible for sending news to Samuel and the others. He was not told about the detailed situation of those bases. The three people didn't make things difficult for him, and after looking at each other, they sped up, leaving the messenger behind. The messenger? He was indeed slowing these three people down. While Samuel and Peter dashed in full view, Rhea didn't forget to use concealment runes for herself. She didn't want to make a fuss in Cydia base. It would be better for her to stay hidden and let the others take the limelight. Though, with their speed, it only took a few seconds to cross a few kilometers and reached Mr. Jones' office. "You're here." Mr. Jones were not surprised when he saw the door flung open violently. And aside from his son, no one else dared to do this in his office. "I heard that there's a trouble?" Samuel asked with a frown. "Yes." Mr. Jones nodded and took the device on his side. An interactive holographic screen was set up in front of them. Could be said that after the earthquake, many things had recovered and even went ahead from before. The appearance of mana and magic had changed many things in the Green Planet. This is the live broadcast from the satellite of the situation in the 4 cities. More and more magic beasts are coming out of the cracks for some reasons, Mr. Jones said as he showed the video. The 3 people there looked at the screen. They could tell that the situation was not very good. Right now, the areas around the 3 cities have long turned into a sea of magic beasts. Wherever they look, all they could see would be nothing more than magic beasts and more magic beasts. It was truly miserable. This is bad. The 3 of them realized that the situation was indeed very bad when they saw the magic beasts pouring out of the crack. It would be impossible for them to deal with so many magic beasts. From the video, they could see that Dina and Ruth were both fighting fiercely. Countless magic arrows were shot towards the magic beasts tied from Ruth's position. Every magic beast shot by her were either rank 3 magic beast or rank 4 magic beast, and none of them survived for another round. As for Dina, she was casting magic like normal magicians. Well, dancing and singing. Seeing the scene of her battle, one would actually wonder whether she was serious or not. Because at this moment, they could clearly see that Dina was treating the wall as a concert stage as she continued to sing loudly. Of course, each song is a magic spell. After the song was over, there would be a large batch of either fireball rains or there would be some darkness that swallowed these magic beasts. At the same time, Dina would recover her mana through this method. At least, her figure looks good enough and not like those old men. I mean magicians from the Magic Association. Peter quickly corrected his words. The others? In the past year, the video of these magicians from the Magic Association fighting had spread far and wide. Moreover, it was not like these magicians from the Magic Association only fought once but several times. So more and more people were greeted with these magicians from the Magic Association's on-site concert performance. Not mentioning that some of them are actually tone-deaf and the tone in his song was wrong. The dance alone made many people wanted to gouge their eyes. It was simply too spicy eyes. Unfortunately, this was the method for these magicians from the Magic Association to activate their magic spells. Others could only watch with tears in their eyes. They felt that these magicians from the Magic Association were not only here to exterminate the magic beasts but also to make them disgusted. In short, many people felt pain when they thought about magicians from the Magic Association. But despite these, there were still many people who wanted to join and become magicians from the Magic Association. It was could only be said that, for the sake of power, these people didn't care about their image. Anyway, as long as their singing voice sounded good, most people could still tolerate them and even adored them. As for the dancing, there was a craze for dance move in the forum. Some people opted to make even crazier dance compared to the magicians from the Magic Association. But some others pursued beauty. Anyway, they have to look better when they were fighting or it would destroy their image. Not that they have any in the first place. Cough. Back to the point. Let's not talk about their singing and dancing. Samuel had long given up when talking about these magicians from the Magic Association. He didn't know where their inheritance came from. While their magic spells couldn't be said to be weak, it was truly embarrassing to sing those words out loud. Ah yes, Peter coughed and then peeked a few more times. Rhea! She silently took a step back from Peter. It seemed that Peter's taste was indeed a bit odd. They could still hold back for a bit, but the people from the other bases are already overwhelmed. Mr. Jones pursed his lips. They've already started to evacuate the people either to enter the bunker or to transport them outside the range of the magic beasts through the tunnels. These were the project that various bases have been working on in the past year, to make up emergency escape from the base for the people. Since they were near Continent Z's capital city, the tunnels became more popular and it was connected to a post near Continent Z's capital city. Chapter 508. Emergency Request 3. Yes, they could escape. But even escaping took time, and it was precisely this time that they needed the most. Right now, many soldiers were bravely facing the magic beasts to buy time for the ordinary people to escape. In that case, why do you call us? Samuel asked. If they had already decided to transfer the people away, there was truly no need for the three of them to come here. They could already deal with this matter themselves, right? The problem is, the capital city's base didn't have enough space to hold so many people. Mr. Jones shook his head. And you should know very well the fate of refugee is not very good. So they want to ask whether you can help in stopping the magic beast's tide, so that these people could possibly return after the magic beast's tide is over. The three of them didn't answer immediately. Seeing so many magic beasts swarming over, even the three of them didn't have the confidence that they would be able to defeat them, because they could see that there were rank 5 magic beasts at the rear. The rank 5 magic beasts hadn't made a move, but once they did, it would definitely cause a large destruction. Protection the city base behind them when they fought against the rank 5 magic beasts would be difficult. Are we only going as 3 people or an army? Rhea suddenly asked. If there were only 3 people, it was simply impossible for them to deal with many things all at once. But if there were the army behind them, it was not impossible to deal with these people. The problem is, the distance between City A base and these city bases were a bit too big. The plan is to send an army, but we're not sure how long it would take for them to arrive. Mr. Jones looked at the 3 people helplessly. So you have to advance ahead. You can use the teleportation formation, right? Samuel remembered something and turned to look at Rhea. The closest distance to the 4 cities are only the outer outpost, Rhea said with a blank look. She had set up several teleportation formation in various places. But if other people wanted to use the teleportation formation that she set up, she still has to arrange the formation to connect the 2 formation. Otherwise, it was not impossible for them to appear in random places. After all, Rhea set up these formations for the sake of having a backup. The memory of being sent to her narrow bedroom at that time was still very fresh in her mind, and she didn't want to repeat it. Which outpost? Mr. Jones asked. As for Rhea setting up teleportation array without telling them, they could only say that they were already used to it. Each of these returnees have their own ideas, and even if they knew what they wanted to do, is it possible for them to stop it? They didn't even know how to destroy a teleportation formation. No. It was more like that they couldn't even find it, because Rhea would directly make the formation appear invisible in normal times. And only when it was used would it appear on the ground and looked very beautiful. This one. Rhea pointed to the outpost in the map. She went there when she was walking around to clean up the magic beasts and conveniently set up a teleportation formation there. Samuel didn't say anything at that time, so Rhea felt that it should be fine. It's really convenient, Peter murmured. The teleportation formation can send 10 people at most at one time, Rhea said and then added. But you will need to use 1 rank 4 magic core at the very least to activate it once. In other words, sending 10 people required a rank 4 magic core. Mr. Jones' lips twitched when he heard Rhea's words. Even though City A base was basically ahead from other bases, they were definitely not able to come up with so many rank 4 magic beasts cores. The number of rank 4 magic beasts were limited, and the few that came out to the surface has been dealt with by the military and the few people who had reached rank 4. But the number was very limited. Moreover, they still had to make sure to reward these people got their reward for killing the magic beasts. In this way, the number of rank 4 magic beasts core in Mr. Jones' hand was not much. The other rank 4 and above magic beasts were basically killed by Samuel and Rhea when they were inside the crack. Can Mr. Jones take their spoils from them? Basically impossible. And if he did that, he would basically offend these 3 people. He was not stupid enough to do something like that. Well, let's just assume that you can go as a small team, Mr. Jones finally said weakly. You can bring a few people along with you to make up for the 10 number. Anyway, a rank 4 Magic Beast Corps was nothing for the 3 of them. They only needed to hunt a few more magic beasts to make up for their losses. That is, if they even consider it as a loss. After all, they didn't have much use of a rank 4 magic corps. That's fine. We just need to kill as many magic beasts as possible, right? Samuel asked as he looked at the group of magic beasts in the screen. They would have to face them later, and it would not be an easy battle. Yes. Aside from you 3, Murin from the Magic Association has also been called, Mr. Jones said. He'll be present? Samuel frowned. Their impression of Murin was not very good, and thinking that they had to cooperate with him, none of them feel good. He's currently a bit far away, and there's no teleportation formation. Mr. Jones looked at the 3 of them with the look. You know what it meant. Chapter 509. Preparation. Samuel and the others nodded. Well, it doesn't seem to matter that much even if Murin would not be present, because neither of them would be willing to cooperate with him. Also, if Rhea didn't plan to appear, you can act independently, Mr. Jones added. It's all up to you. The relationship between the 3 of them with the government was more like working together instead of joining directly. Because of this, the higher-up would never give the tone of order when talking with them, and more like requesting for their help. Though the 3 of them didn't really have the intention to refuse. They knew the importance of this matter. Okay. Rhea was actually thinking whether she could set up a formation or simply rush to the back line and defeated those magic beasts from the back. After all, she was not that afraid of a siege from the magic beast. As long as the formation was in place, 10 or 100 didn't seem to be any different from her. As for you, Samuel, Mr. Jones looked at his son and then said, You'll be the leader and make sure Peter didn't fight against the other 2 returnees there. The term returnees have been acknowledged by most people. After all, this was the best term to describe these people who returned from that world and came back to this world. But they didn't know how to identify them aside from their performance. Because their trip is nothing more than a split second in the green planet. No matter how many years have passed when they stayed in that world, they would come back to the exact moment before they left. I know my priority, Peter complained. He would not fight against Dina and Ruth immediately. Only after the Beast Tides matter was over would he fight them. Samuel's lips twitched. I know. After that, the 3 of them walked out of the office and Samuel looked at Rhea. Do you want to set up the formation first? My father might want to send someone else later. Even though Mr. Jones didn't really want to send others, but if it was necessary, it was not impossible for him to add more people. All right, Rhea nodded. She had to set the coordinate first. In this way, those who used the teleportation formation would be transferred to the designated outpost. Naturally, Runemaster could change the coordinate. But how many people know how to do it? Even Ruben didn't know. So basically only Rhea could do this. I'll call the others. I also want to call others, Peter said as he raised his hand. The Martial Arts Association is not weak, and I won't let you steal all the limelight this time, Samuel. Samuel? Is that the point? He looked at Peter speechlessly and said, We're not there to play around but to help them. I know. You forget it. How many places do you need? Samuel asked. If there were too many people whom Peter wanted to bring along, they might need to take 2 trips instead of 1 to the outpost before departing. Just 1, my assistant, Peter replied. Samuel? He decided to give up. He felt that Peter was really not serious at all. In any case, Samuel simply called for his sister, brother, and their friends together. After training individually in the past year, they all have improved more or less. Now, it was time for them to face challenge 2. After all, if they only faced the lone rank 3 magic beast, it would not improve their strength much anymore. But Samuel didn't want to toss them into the crack. It's too dangerous. Now that they were not inside the crack but outside, it should be fine. What? We're going to City J? Amelia was stunned when she heard what her brother said. They all gathered after Samuel called, but when they heard what he said, they felt that it was too outrageous. Not mentioning that City J was so far away, how many magic beasts do they have to face on the way there? Now that there's a beast tide, they might not even be able to reach City J within a day's time. Don't worry, a third of the journey will be using teleportation formation. After that, we'll use vehicles to go quickly, Samuel said as he looked at everyone. He smirked. It's a good time to see your progress. Amelia shivered when she saw her brother's smile. She felt that he didn't have any good intention when he looked at them like that. Ugh, brother. Sean also sighed deeply when he heard his brother's words. This past year, he was basically dividing his training between learning management and practicing swordsmanship. His progress is slower than his sister, and right now, he was almost at the bottom of the group. This made Sean feel really unwilling to go. Don't worry, we can cooperate together. Joan saw her boyfriend like this and patted his back in consolation. Samuel didn't say that they have to fight on their own, right? So it should be fine for the two of them to cooperate together when it's time. All right, I'll show my brother how I have improved so far, Sean said with determination. I think it's more like showing how far you have regressed. Amelia, I'm here to... Tisk. They all quarreled with each other again, and the others basically ignore them. Samuel looked at the others. I'm ready. Arnold looked at Samuel seriously. Even if you don't ask me to come, I'll definitely go to City J base. Your comrades are there? Reuben just remembered something and remarked. Yes. Arnold nodded helplessly. I have to go even if it's dangerous. His comrades were there and Arnold would not feel reassured if he didn't go and help them. They'll be fine. Reuben nodded and then said, I'll also help you to reserve some healing magic scroll in case it's necessary. Samuel looked at Reuben and said, Lower-ranked magic scroll might not be effective if the injuries are severe. It's rank 2. Rank 1 to 3 is still low level. Chapter 5:10. Preparation 2. Reuben felt that he really should ask Ria how to make higher-ranked magic scroll as soon as possible. Are you sure that you want to bring all of us? Stephen asked as he panted. He was basically the last one to arrive. Yes. Samuel looked at Stephen thoughtfully. Where's Sophia? She's talking with Grandpa for a bit and will come soon. Stephen shrugged. Samuel heard this and then frowned. At this time, he suddenly threw about the commotion in the morning and asked, Does your Carson family have some involvement with the rebellions in the morning? Stephen was silent. Seeing everyone was looking in his direction, he sighed and explained briefly. The Carson family. The rebellion has actually been planned for a long time. And some people came to Stephen a few days ago to ask him to participate. Using high-sounding words such as the base was only using them and that this was originally their place, why couldn't they have more power and right? They were using this way to gather people for their cause and made trouble to City base. But Stephen refused. No way. Stephen refused and went back inside. He was close to Samuel and knew the inside story of City base very clearly. While the few families who originally had a place here seemed that they were suppressed, but their treatment was actually already very good. It just depended on who they compare it to. If they compared to the few people who had absolute authority and power in City base, then it was clear that their power was not much. But if they were to compare it to the people who came to the base as refugee, then they actually still obtained preferential treatment. Grandpa! Stephen saw his grandfather was looking at the door when he walked inside and he was confused. Don't you want to get more power? Old Master Carson asked calmly. His indifferent attitude seemed as if he didn't care too much about this matter. But he still asked about it. Stephen shrugged. I'm already quite powerful as a magic warrior and there's no need for more. He's actually a magician, but considering the image of magician from those magicians from the Magic Association, Stephen would rather admit that he's a magic warrior. Anyway, in the beginning he did learn to be a magic warrior. Could be said that he was quite consistent with Ria in this matter. never admit that they were magicians in their entire life. Oh, old Master Carson nodded. He didn't interfere with the children's decision for their future. After all, everyone had their own talent and chances. It was impossible for him to generalize all of his descendants and his brother's descendants. But this didn't mean that he would let them play freely either. If they didn't make any improvement or kept on failure, old Master Carson would show what his authority in the Carson family meant. "How's your strength now?" old Master Carson asked. He was not very clear about these magic warriors' strength. After all, while he also wanted to become stronger, he had no such capability. Old Master Carson was already too old to practice his body. He could only start with meditation and tried his best to meditate for a few hours. Even though he hadn't even gotten started yet, his thinking has become clear and this was already good enough for him. "I barely reached rank 3, Stephen replied. He was already at the middle of rank 3, but he didn't have suitable magic spells, so his strength was relatively weaker. So saying that he barely reached rank 3 was actually quite true. But rank 3 was already at the upper middle compared to many other magic warriors. Old Master Carson nodded in appreciation. "You continue to practice." His grandson's talent was not the best, but it was not that bad either. If Stephen could continue to go down on this road, it was uncertain how high he could eventually reach. For this reason, old Master Carson felt that it would be good to let Stephen continue training. Many other magic warriors are only lingering at rank 2 and they were already proud. But his grandson was already at rank 3. This meant that he's already somewhat at the forefront. Thinking about this, old Master Carson felt that this grandson is really good. "Yes. How about Sophia? She has also reached rank 3 and will contract a new magic beast soon," Stephen replied. Sophia told him that Rhea will bring her a new horse-like magic beast soon. But he didn't know when Rhea was actually planning to get it for Sophia. After all, she had to search in the crack first. Old Master Carson's eyes flickered and he nodded. "I understand. You go back." Stephen nodded at his grandfather and then walked back. He didn't walk far before he saw that the person who came to persuade him to do rebellions had already walked towards other people in the Carson family. It was clear that he had other goals. And looking at old Master Carson, who had no intention of stopping this, Stephen understood that his grandfather was letting them to do what they wanted. If they could succeed in the rebellions and obtained a lot of power, then it would be good for the Carson family. "Don't be fooled by him." Stephen saw his father was standing not far from him and called out, "Father, your grandfather had his own way of doing things and you should not follow him," Stephen's father said solemnly. He knew very well how his father is. After all, he was born and raised in the Carson family for a long time. It was because he was not capable enough that he was not selected as the successor for the Carson family after he grew up. But this alone meant that he knew what his father wanted from him. What he wished the most is that his children would not follow the same path as him. Chapter 5:11, The Carson Family. "I know, Father," Stephen reassured his father. He would definitely not follow the same path as his grandfather. Even though he knew that his grandfather was doing it for the sake of the Carson family, he could not treat his family members like that. His father and mother cared for him and taught him well. He also cared for his cute younger sister. How could he possibly treat them like how he treat tools? It was only his grandfather and those ruthless people who could do something like this. After that, Stephen didn't check the situation much. Until he heard that Samuel returned and killed the rebellion's people. The few people who lead the rebellions were all killed, and those who still dared to make trouble were all kicked out of city a base no matter who they were. Among them, Stephen heard that Mr. Black was also killed. Deserved it? Who told him to make trouble again and again? Stephen shook his head and felt that this Mr. Black only knew how to make trouble. He knew the inside story and felt that Samuel was already very patient to only kill Mr. Black at this moment. The Black family is over. You lead some people to take over their properties. Old Master Carson suddenly gave order. Even though the Black family had suffered a lot of losses in the hands of Samuel because he could not control all of the resources he used to have. But this didn't mean that he was poor. In fact, Mr. Black had already started to do some businesses in City A bases and accumulated some wealth. City A base also allowed people to have private businesses. They would not restrict these people's development as long as they abided by the base's rules. Besides, the main currency is still the contribution points, and they were not afraid that these people would not pay taxes when operating businesses. The strong military was not for nothing. Seeing the strong military that was still expanding and recruiting people, the businessmen knew that they were no match for them. So they could only honestly pay taxes and so on. Mr. Jones was naturally the happiest. Yes, sir. Also, Old Master Carson looked at one side. Those who participated in the rebellions are all kicked out of the Carson family. This ruthless move didn't surprise any of the older generation. But those of the younger generations were shocked. Sophia, who was standing beside Stephen, even trembled in fear. "Brother, don't worry." Stephen patted Sophia's head and sighed deeply. He had heard from his father about his grandfather's ruthlessness, but this was the first time he saw it firsthand. It seemed that Old Master Carson truly didn't treat them as people but as tools. Sophia bit down her lips. They turned to look at the side as their cousin screamed, but then their cousin's own father kicked him down and ordered for the people to kick them out. Whether they could still say in City A base or not was another question. It was terrifying. "Will Grandpa do the same to us?" Sophia asked in a low voice. "As long as we don't make irreparable mistake, he won't. But even if he did, I'll take care of you and protect you," Stephen promised seriously. He also turned to look at his father and mother who were holding hands with each other. Even though his father's face looked calm, he could see that his mother was gripping his father's hand tightly. It was clear that she was actually also afraid. But no matter what, they could not refute Old Master Carson. "How about if we get out of the Carson family on our initiative?" Sophia asked in a low voice. At this moment, she just wanted to get out of the Carson family and never stay in the same family as her ruthless grandfather anymore. "It's not that simple." Stephen shook his head. He looked at his grandfather, who was still giving order to the uncles and aunts. "And he might not let you go if you dare to go against him." Sophia pursed her lips and stopped saying such things. She knew very well that since her brother said that, it meant that they truly couldn't possibly go against their grandfather. It would be nothing more than a suicidal act. The cleanup in the Carson family was done swiftly and quickly. From the uncles and aunts' expression, they all understood that this should not be the first time. This also made them understood that if they dared to make a mistake, they would be kicked out of the Carson family. But if they have merit when they were outside, they would be invited back to the Carson family. They would also obtain some compensation. And whether they wanted it or not, Old Master Carson would make sure that he could get what he wanted. It seemed that his order is absolute. And it was also during this time that Stephen received a message from Samuel. "Grandpa, I and my sister have to go. There's an order from the military to let me help them clean up some magic beasts." Old Master Carson looked at this grandson and Sophia. Among the younger generation, the two people who have the fastest progress was naturally Stephen and Sophia. Both of them had reached rank 3 and also had close relationship with the higher-ups in City A base. Aside from them, there were some other people in the Carson family who had reached rank 2, but they were still far away from these two. It was also because of this that Stephen dared to speak when his grandfather was giving order. "You go." Old Master Carson nodded. He had to maintain the balance, and Stephen and Sophia were a good choice to keep his relationship close with the higher-ups in City A base. Besides, having good relationship would only be good for him. "Sophia, stay behind for a while. I want to talk with her." Chapter 5:12. "I know, Father." Sophia was really nervous. She didn't know why her grandfather wanted her to stay behind, and her brother could only give her reassuring look before he left. Seeing this, Sophia sighed. She still has to listen to her grandfather. Her own father also patted her shoulder but didn't help her more than that. It was clear that Old Master Carson's order could not be violated. "Come here." Old Master Carson looked at Sophia and then asked, "How's your progress of finding your third magic beast?" He knew that this granddaughter's magic beasts were strong. The first one was Melly, who had good relationship with Sophia and was used for defending. Since Melly was raised by Sophia herself, no one has any opinion about it. Besides, even if they have opinion, what could they actually do? Complain? Sophia would not necessarily listen to them. And if they have no strength, speaking would only make their impression in old Master Carson's eyes worsened. So no one dared to do that. I have already exchanged my contribution point, Grandpa, Sophia quickly said, and then remembered something. Can I ask for some of the medicine from the Carson family that can recover mana quickly? The 10% mana recovery was not very popular, but there were still some people who liked it. And the Carson family themselves were also working to create better one. For this project, old Master Carson let the few people in the Carson family who were good at medicine to work on this project. He didn't want to see them fail in the slightest bit. The result so far was not very good, but he was patient enough. Anyway, as long as they managed to develop a powerful medicine that could recover one's mana quickly, they would dominate in this field. Is it the condition for the magic beast? Old Master Carson didn't answer directly but asked. Sophia nodded quickly. She had already asked her father, and he gave her one strip of medicine. The medicine looks like a normal medicine, with one strip consisting of 10 pieces of medicine. It was obtained by her father with some difficulties. After all, their family was not the one who developed the medicine, and he had to ask his brother for this. Considering the competitive relationship within the Carson family, it was indeed not easy to ask. But he still managed to get it. Now that they were in front of old Master Carson, Sophia suddenly thought that since her grandfather asked about this matter, she would mention it again. What if she could get more? Well, it could be said that Sophia only dared to mention it but didn't dare to ask too much. What kind of magic beast did you ask for? Old Master Carson asked again. There were less than 10 people in the Carson family who became magic warriors, magicians, or even beast master like Sophia. This low number made old Master Carson upset, but he also knew that practice was heavily dependent on talent. If they have talent, everything is easy to say. If they have no talent, let's not humiliate themselves. Among them, Sophia was the only beast master because old Master Carson found out that Sophia is truly a big eater of resources. If it was not because Sophia kept on going out to hunt magic beasts with her team on her own, it was estimated that the Carson family could not afford to support her. With this precedent, old Master Carson was really not prepared to nurture a second beast master. One was already troublesome enough. A horse-like magic beast. It's a new magic beast that has extremely fast speed, Sophia answered frankly. She had nothing to hide about her magic beasts because she was also training in their backyard from time to time. Melly is in charge for defense. Her lightning bird, whom she named Akira, was in charge of attacking with powerful lighting from time to time. The loud sound definitely attracted the attention of other people in Carson family. Later, when her third magic beast came, Sophia knew that it would be impossible to hide it from her grandfather. It would be better for her to come clean. A horse like magic beasts. Old Master Carson heard Sophia's words and nodded. In this way, his granddaughter's fighting ability will become more perfect. As for Sophia's weakness of not being able to fight on her own, this was something that old Master Carson had noticed from a long time ago. But as long as her magic beasts were strong enough, even a waste fighting materials like Sophia could become stronger. It seemed to be quite good. Moreover, the resources that the Carson family paid for Sophia was only as much as other magic warriors. The rest were obtained by themselves. Old Master Carson nodded. Okay, you can get the medicine. Thank you, Grandpa. When your magic beast arrived, show it to me. Yes, Grandpa. After saying a few more words, old Master Carson dismissed Sophia, and Sophia breathed a sigh of relief. Staying close to her grandfather still made her very nervous. Old Master Carson saw his first son looked uncomfortable and snorted. If you think it's unfair, let your son work harder. I know, Father. In the Carson family, only those who could show their value would be appreciated. This was something that everyone had known from the very beginning. So they were not surprised that old Master Carson would give more resources for Sophia. If they also wanted it, then fight for it. After Stephen's explanation, Samuel roughly understood the Carson family's situation. He was not surprised by this because this kind of practice was not that rare. even if ordinary people only saw this kind of things from the novel and so on. But Samuel knew that families who used their descendants in this way did exist, as he had met with some of them in the past. It was indeed quite something. Chapter 5:13, Limit. But knowing that the Carson family was the same, Samuel only shook his head. He didn't want to meddle on this matter. It was not his business, unless Stephen asked for help. "Don't worry so much. The Carson family will be fine," Stephen said with a shrug. Even if he didn't like his grandfather, he also knew that it was impossible for them to do anything to the Carson family. Because once old Master Carson knew that the Carson family was in bad situation, he would definitely mobilize some people who were in better situation to help. It was inevitable. Stephen could guess that much, and he didn't want to drag others to this mess. "I know." Samuel nodded and then turned to look at Peter, who had dragged his assistant here. His assistant was a rank 3 warrior who helped Peter to carry some storage space scroll. It was clear that his existence was indeed to be Peter's assistant and nothing more. "How many people will come?" Peter saw that there were quite a lot of people here and asked subconsciously. Samuel, Peter, and Rhea were already 3 people. After that, there were also Amelia, Sean, Arnold, Reuben, Stephen, Sophia, and Joan. That was already 7 people. If Peter added his assistant, then it meant that there would be 11 people. 11 people, Samuel said lightly. "Ah. For any additional people, you can use your own 4th rank magic core," Samuel added without hesitation. He didn't want to pay for Peter's people. Peter was silent and turned to look at his assistant. "The Martial Arts Association will send 9 more people and we will depart together," the assistant said with a smile. They have already anticipated that there would not be enough people to squeeze because they knew the few people who usually came together with Samuel. It would be strange if there were enough places. "I know." Peter was downcast. After that, Peter looked at Samuel and said, "After the matter is over, I'll challenge those 2 people and you are absolutely not allowed to stop me." Peter's biggest hobby was to challenge strong people. Even if he ended up half dead after the battle, he would not hesitate to challenge strong people. Because only by challenging them would he feel energetic. Well, it was also because only through challenging strong people would it be possible for him to grow stronger. Aside from that, Peter also knew that if he wanted to improve his strength, he had no other choice but to challenge other stronger people. If he didn't challenge them, it would be impossible for him to improve himself. The problem is, there were not many strong people. Even if he had traveled to various places and killed countless magic beasts, Peter still felt that it was not enough. Only Samuel and Rhea could provide some challenges for him. As for Dina and Ruth, Peter had never seen them. The Martial Arts Association gave him order not to go to City J, and Peter could only obey with some annoyance. Then again, the goal of sending him out of City A base was for him to clean up the magic beasts. How could they allow him to go to City J that has 2 strong people guarding? It would be a waste of manpower. Aside from that, Peter could not meet with Murin either. He didn't know what the Magic Association was planning, but they didn't allow Murin to run around. Instead, it was Murin's pets who kept on making fuss from time to time, showing both dominance in sky and land. This showed how strong a beast master really is. But they didn't tell the truth that these magic beasts consumed a large amount of resources. Otherwise, it would be impossible for these magic beasts to grow so strong. In this way, there were many people who joined the Magic Association with hope of becoming Beastmaster. Of course, these Beastmasters were separated from the magicians from the Magic Association. Everyone who could be separated from the magicians from the Magic Association would definitely do so. They have various reasons to make so that they would not be lumped together with the word magician. Only those who decided to truly become magicians had long given up. They simply promoted their unique style as the magicians from the Magic Association. Well, Spicy Eyes, as long as the magic beasts matter is over, I will never stop you. Samuel rolled his eyes when he saw Peter's eyes were burning with strong fighting intent. He could see that if he dared to stop Peter, this man would challenge him first and then challenge the other 2 people. What a wishful thinking. Samuel would not care about what Peter wanted to do as long as this task was over. Anyway, it was not him who will have headache. It would be the higher-ups and the martial arts association. Is it really necessary to have a fight with strong people? Amelia couldn't help but ask at this time. Her own talent was also to get stronger through fighting, which was how she managed to become strong. But she preferred to fight against the magic beasts instead of other people. Of course, who could say for sure that humans would always stay united? Peter said righteously, "In this way, we have to be prepared by beating up other people first." He just want to show off. "Shut up, Samuel." Samuel rolled his eyes and looked at the teleportation formation behind him. He didn't see Rhea and guessed that she should have used the teleportation formation to go somewhere else. For this matter, he didn't care too much. Anyway, they agreed to meet after an hour because everyone else had to prepare themselves. Amelia? She looked at Peter speechlessly. So this man only liked to show off? But no matter what, Amelia knew that Peter is really strong and there were not many people who could compare with him. At least, her own brother said that he could not compare to Peter in terms of pure physical strength. Chapter 5:14. Right now, the only opponents that you have to face is the magic beasts, but it's inevitable that in the future, you might have some competition with your peers, Samuel said calmly to his sister and brother. He knew very well that with these two's progress, there would be some geniuses who would definitely at the same speed. And if the threat of the magic beasts were not too big, they might even clash directly. But that was something for the future, because right now they could only pay attention to the magic beasts first. Yes. Sean and Amelia looked at their brother seriously. They knew that this is Samuel teaching them. Arnold and the others were also solemn. They knew very well that even if their progress was quite fast, but other people might also have other opportunities. If they wanted to stay ahead from others, they could only work hard and never slack off. Of course, even if they were to work hard every single day, the chance of them catching up to Samuel and Peter was almost zero. Since you have that consciousness, how about if we have a spar too after I finish sparring with those two? Peter extended his invitation once again. Samuel's face was black. Just how much does Peter like to fight?
No.
Tisk. The others snickered when they saw Samuel deflated. It was rare to see Samuel being so helpless like this. Most of the time, he would be abusing them with their training. And it was the kind that could not be stopped in the slightest bit. Swish! They saw faint light from inside and saw Rhea appeared in the center of the formation. She looked at the group in surprise. Have everyone gathered? So fast. Wait a minute. I'll set up the formation. Not yet. Sophia should be here soon, Stephen replied. Rhea nodded, but she didn't stop and started to arrange the coordinate of the formation so that it would be connected to the outpost. In this way, other people only needed to activate the formation if they wanted to use it and didn't need to adjust anything again. After a few seconds, Rhea was done. She walked out and saw Peter, who was carrying a few space storage scrolls. Do you not have the second-rank space storage scroll? Rhea asked with suspicion. She was sure that she had sold a few second-rank space storage scroll to the Martial Arts Association. They said that my contribution points are not enough to exchange it. Peter looked very sad when he thought about what they said. I only have one second-rank space storage scroll to fit in all my food, and the rest are first-rank space storage scroll. Everyone, thinking about how much a warrior could eat, they silently felt that the Martial Arts Association was very kind when giving the resources to Peter. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for him to become stronger so quickly. Then again, it was not like they consumed less resources either. Samuel had also given them a lot of resources in the past year. Otherwise, it will be hard to say whether they could reach their current rank or not. After all, aside from talent, resources is also very important. Well, it can't be helped. Rhea shook her head. For some reasons, she was glad that she didn't need to eat a lot of magic beast's meat. Otherwise, it will be hard to say whether she could reach this rank. The amount of resources she had to consume will be even more astronomical. Right, where did you go, Rhea? Amelia asked curiously. I headed into the crack and picked up the magic beast for Sophia, Rhea replied. Since they were going to City J, Rhea was not sure when she would have the time to catch the magic beasts. Since these magic beasts were herbivore, Rhea was a bit worried that they would be gone by the time they were done with their business. so she caught one of them in advance. Ah, you sure take great care of Sophia. Amelia looked at Rhea enviously. She also wanted a magic beast. Rhea looked at Amelia speechlessly. This girl's thoughts were very visible from her expression. You're not a beast master and you can't even take care of yourself well. So let's not talk about getting a magic beast for you. How do you know what I'm thinking? It's obvious. It is. Amelia patted her face with disbelief. She felt that she shouldn't be that easy to read. How could Rhea always know what she wanted to say? Should she say it was because the two of them were best friend? Rhea. Seeing Amelia's look, she chose not to explain. Anyway, she was sure that Amelia could make up other things when she mentioned it. Turning her head to the side, she saw Sophia jogging in their direction. Sorry, I was late. Sophia saw that everyone was there and panicked a bit. Her grandfather talked a bit too long after he handed the medicine over to her. Thankfully, it hadn't passed the 1-hour time that Samuel requested in the beginning. You're in time. The formation has only been prepared some time ago. Rhea consoled Sophia. That's good. Sophia heaved a sigh of relief. Samuel saw that everyone was ready and waved his hand. Let's go. They all nodded and walked into the room except for Peter's assistant, who was still waiting for the other people from Martial Arts Association. They would catch up with the group later. The hall was big enough and everyone stood on the formation. The formation seems to be big enough. Why do you say that it can only fit 10 people? Peter asked in confusion. Because the runes set up in this formation would not be able to withstand more, Rhea replied calmly. Large-scale teleportation formation is a rank 7 formation. To activate it, you will need mana comparable to rank 7 magic core. Chapter 5:15 Qualitative Gap. Peter shut up after hearing Rhea's explanation. He understood that another reason why the teleportation formation was not made was because no one would be able to use it in a short period of time. Perhaps in a few more years they would be able to do it. But now, it's impossible. How many people can the large-scale teleportation formation teleport at the same time? Amelia asked curiously. 10,000 people, Rhea replied. Amelia's mouth opened wide. So many? That was 100 times more than this teleportation formation. A rank 7 is a complete leap from rank 6. That's why it's called the gap between genius and ordinary people, Samuel said calmly. In that world, he learned from his elders that if he wanted to truly be valued, he had to reach rank 7. At first, Samuel didn't understand, but after he advanced to rank 7 and was exposed to the secret of the magic warriors and the others, he came to understand the reason. Because everyone could reach rank 6 as long as they worked hard and had enough resources. The difference between a genius and ordinary people would be their pace. Of course, the gap between rank 3 and rank 4 was still quite big and required more hard work. But as long as one continued to work hard and grind their way through it, they still had a chance to pass through this layer. But rank 6 and rank 7 could not be crossed by this so-called hard work or luck. They needed to have the ability to open up that door by themselves. But that was for later. Before trying to break through to rank 7, they would need to reach the peak of rank 6 first. They were only at the late stage of rank 6, and it would still take a few months of normal training for them to reach the peak of rank 6. Of course, that was under the condition that they have abundant normal resources but not special resources like that special magic core. Special resources were really unreasonable. But it was also because of this that they were called special resources. They were rare and had great effect on their improvement. All right, don't move. When they heard Rhea's warning, everyone tensed up. Aside from Samuel, the others didn't have the luxury to experience Rhea's teleportation formation. After all, they didn't have any reason to use it, and Rhea wouldn't want to waste her mana for something unnecessary. So everyone was nervous. But before they knew it, they saw that their surroundings had changed. It's done. So fast. Amelia was stunned. She was ready to hold her breath and stay still for a long period of time. But this is just 1 second, right? How long do you think it'll be? Samuel turned to look at his sister. 1 minute? Samuel? If it's that long, this teleportation formation would not be used by those rune masters to run away when the situation was unfavorable to them. Peter heard Amelia's words and laughed out loud without hesitation. Who would make such a useless teleportation formation that would take so much time? Your enemies would have long catch up if it's that long. Shut up. Amelia blushed when she thought about it. Sean rolled his eyes and said, That's why you're not suitable for anything that requires you to use your brain, sister. You brat. Don't think that you're any better. I'm smarter than you. No, you're not. The two siblings were quarreling against each other again. The others who saw them like this were already used to it and didn't think that there was anything strange. Ria shook her head and didn't say anything. She simply took the lead to walk out of this building. To be honest, there was indeed someone who modified the teleportation formation for his own use, and the interval was really long. It was because he wanted to reduce the mana consumption but still produced the same result. He succeeded. But the time to activate the teleportation formation was extended, and it became tasteless in the eyes of many people. Because it was only a rank 5 formation, it could only transfer up to 10 people at the same time. And this formation required them to activate it for an entire minute. An entire minute where they were not allowed to move in the slightest bit in fear that they would accidentally get lost in the space. After all, jumping through space is actually a dangerous move. If they did something unnecessary in the process, they might be lost in unknown space. And that was what happened to this Runemaster. He accidentally moved when he was activating the teleportation formation and got sent somewhere far away. No one knew where he went. And his invention was locked away as they didn't want any talented Runemaster to accidentally send themselves away to some unknown place either. If they accidentally fall to a dangerous location, they might not even have the chance to return back in their entire life. Let's go. Samuel took out 2 military jeep and turned to look at Arnold and Sean. I know, I'll drive. Sean raised his hand weakly. He knew that when his older brother looked at him like that, it meant that his older brother wanted him to do something. What else would it be aside from driving? I'll also drive. Arnold raised his hand. Why don't you arrange others to drive? Peter was confused when he saw Samuel's arrangement. Because one is the weakest and the other one can't attack unless it's close range. Peter? Ria looked at Amelia. Doesn't Amelia also only use sword? Why didn't Samuel arrange for Amelia to drive instead? Samuel saw Ria's gaze and then quickly said, Amelia's driving skill is bad. I'm afraid that we'll crash before we arrive in City J. Amelia? Brother. I'm not such a poor driver. Chapter 5:16, Journey to City J. The others laughed when they saw Amelia fuming. You almost crashed the car when you drive. I didn't. On the days when you first learn how to drive. Ah, don't say it. The others laughed as they entered the car. Amelia is really funny. She would definitely make them laugh from time to time. They all quickly entered the car, divided to 5 people per car. Sean was with Joan, Stephen, Sophia, and Peter. Arnold was with Samuel, Ria, Amelia, and Ruben. Isn't this arrangement a bit one-sided? Arnold asked as they entered the car. No. Samuel saw that Ria has started drawing 2 runes, one pointing to the car on the side and the other one towards this car. He arched his eyebrows and then said aloud, Be prepared when driving. What? Whoosh! When the 2 people stepped on the gas, the car nearly ran out at high speed. The sudden speed shocked the others in the car as they tried their best to hold on anything that could help them stay on the car well. The hell? Drive properly. Some people screamed and yelled. Sean. But I barely step on the gas. Sean yelled back as he tried his best to control the car. The speed of the car scared him, but he got used to it slowly. He felt that Samuel should have warned them for some reasons, but his mind was a mess right now. He truly couldn't think of anything. The only thing he could do was to stabilize the car and made sure that he would not overturn it because it was speeding too fast. Arnold was not in any better situation than Sean in the beginning. The car rushed out even though he barely stepped on the accelerator as if there was a magic beast chasing after them. But Arnold's control was stronger because he quickly held the steering wheel and prevent the car from going out of control. It's so much faster than usual. Arnold smirked and then slowly increased the speed. Even though the speed shouldn't have been so fast, but the car shoot up very quickly. This made those who saw it dumbfounded, because no one expected that the car would be so fast. "What runes did you use, Ria?" Samuel asked speechlessly. He was not afraid that they would crash because he believed in these two people's driving skills. But he still felt that it was a bit outrageous. This was already more than twice the speed limit. "Speed and protection runes," Ria replied as she was also holding on her chair tightly. It was similar to the formation that she used when she, Amelia, and Ruby headed to City A base in the past, but she had strengthened it so that it would be safer. "What?" Amelia was stunned. "It's so fast. Teacher, you should remind us before." Ruben felt like vomiting in the car. The car was going on at high speed and it was hard for them to keep their balance. For someone with weaker physical strength, Ruben felt that his entire stomach was turned upside down. "Well, the road here is not very good. The outpost is called Outpost because it was built near the end of the road that has been built around City A base. The areas between the outpost and City A base has been cleaned up and road has been built. But after the outpost, there were still ruins and also forests. Clearly, it has been left untouched for a long time. There might be plans to clean up the ruins, but the forest and so on would be left alone. They could not afford causing deforestation worse in the green planet otherwise. They might risk changing their planet's name to Brown Planet. Well, it doesn't sound so bad. But thinking that the temperature will turn hot without enough trees, it might even turn into Red Planet." Swoosh! The car speed up and both Arnold and Sean adapted to the high-speed driving quickly. Could be said that Sean was also very excited because it was rare for them to be able to drive at such speed. This was already far beyond the speed limit. He didn't even know the car was capable of going at such speed. "Thankfully the road is straight," Amelia murmured when she looked outside. Aside from some shaking because the roads were uneven, the direction was relatively straight. In this way, they didn't have to worry so much about Arnold suddenly steering the car to one or the other side. "How long will it take to reach City J?" Ruben was holding his mouth, resisting the urge to vomit. He felt that this was definitely the worst trip he had ever experienced in his entire life. The car was shaking so badly that his stomach couldn't stand it. With this speed, Samuel arched his eyebrows. "Between 3 to 6 hours, depending on the driver and the road." Ugh! 3 more hours like this. Ruben's eyes turned gray and he really wanted to knock himself out. If he fainted, at the very least, he didn't have to suffer so much from this unreasonable drive. Roar. Time passed quietly until they heard roaring from outside. Ria raised her head and looked at the distance. "There are a lot of magic beasts in that direction. Do you want to go there?" Amelia asked. She had somehow managed to adapt to this turbulent drive. Even though Amelia couldn't say that this was the most comfortable journey she had ever experienced, it was good enough. "We're heading to City J at the fastest speed possible, so no." Samuel shook his head. "All right." Amelia raised her head and looked at the distance. The next moment she froze, because she clearly saw a few pillars suddenly rise up and then a few people on top of the pillars started to dance and sing loudly. They couldn't hear the voice from this distance, but that dance. Oh! Chapter 517. Journey to City J, 2. "They're magicians from the Magic Association," Ria said when she saw their action. She was very familiar with these people's action and could guess it more or less when she saw their action. Of course, after seeing that they had started dancing, she turned her head. Considering the dancing and singing talent of these people who became magicians from the Magic Association were mixed, it's better not to take a bet and think that they were very good. If it was the opposite, everyone would feel their eyes hurt. "I don't think they need help," Samuel added quietly. That huge pillar was a rank 3 magic spell. For these magicians from the Magic Association to use rank 3 magic spell meant that there should be at least one or more rank 3 magicians there. Considering how these magicians from the Magic Association had existed far before the Martial Arts Association, there might be other magicians at higher rank than them. So it would be better for them not to meddle in this matter. Good then. But why make the pillars? Ruben resisted the urge to vomit and looked at the distance. He felt that this would be a good distraction. "To make a concert," Amelia replied. "Concert?" Reuben looked at Amelia in confusion. Because Reuben was busy with various matters in Cydia base, he didn't have time to look for news about other things. One of them was naturally about these magicians from the Magic Association. Even if Reuben is a magician, the magic spells he learned were all taught by Rhea. He didn't have the intention to become magicians from the Magic Association. After all, their magic spells were really something. In order to make their magic spells stronger, these magicians from the Magic Association agreed that the best way is to create a concert when they're fighting against the magic beasts. Amelia explained. The others? What's the relationship between a concert and strong magic spells? They all felt that these magicians from the Magic Association had some screw loose in their mind. Amelia saw their look and rubbed her nose. Because they felt that if their songs are attractive, they could also attract the magic beasts. So when they were chanting, they would make sure that it's accompanied by various songs. There's even song competition for the magicians from the Magic Association in the forum. Everyone else. For a moment, they felt that some people really have nothing better to do. Creating song for these magicians from the Magic Association? Well, it didn't seem to be a bad thing since there should be some people with musical talent who still survived. But thinking that they were already so idle that they could think of music for these magicians from the Magic Association instead of focusing on their survival, it meant that the situation in several bases should be very good. At least, they didn't have to worry about their basic needs anymore. This is a good thing. Is there any reward? Rhea asked curiously. Of course, she didn't ask because she planned to participate. With her 0 music cell, it would be better for her not to make fun of herself. Yes, they can get a few rank 3 magic cores, Amelia replied. The others nodded. With such high reward, those people who were good at music were definitely attracted and willing to make music for the magicians from the Magic Association. Then that one. Reuben pointed at the pillar's direction. They should have some good songs to use, Samuel said and then shook his head. Unfortunately, we didn't have the chance to listen. The others? No, wait, you want to listen? They all looked at Samuel with horrified look. Did he forget about those magicians from the Magic Association who sing and dance during the Beast Tide in Cydia base? The video was still very popular in the forum, but only other magicians from the Magic Association dared to listen and see because they used it as a good example to learn. I just think that it's interesting. If they have customized the song, it meant that they should have confidence that it's good, Samuel explained. But the lyrics are. Rhea looked at Samuel with complicated look. Unless they changed the lyrics to those that belong to the adults, the lyric would make people cringe when they heard it. Even Rhea couldn't stand those lyrics and would never want to say it. After all, the children's lyrics were playful and funny, so that the children could learn it quickly. Some mature children even skipped this process and learned the standard magic spell directly. Ah! Samuel had just remembered and put down the thought of looking at these magicians from the Magic Association. Even if the background song sounded good, but if it was paired with those lyrics, it was hard to say. The others laughed when they saw Samuel's look. It was really funny to see him like this. Rhea looked outside and saw a few magic beasts. She turned to look at Reuben. Time to practice your hand. How's your magic spells learning progress? Now? Reuben was stunned. Yes. What if my mana is exhausted? Here. Rhea handed over a talisman and said, It'll help you to recover your mana, but you have to use the mana it infused immediately in battle. Reuben was stunned. He looked at Rhea with an aggrieved look. You never told me that there's such a magic spell. Teacher. The last word was prolonged as if he wanted to act coquettish. Amelia immediately shifted her body away from Reuben when she heard his words. She felt that it was really dangerous to stay too close to Reuben right now. She had goosebump when listening to it. That's because this method of forcefully infusing mana will make the mana mixed and a bit chaotic. If you don't have good control over your mana, it can even hurt you, Rhea explained calmly. Chapter 518. Journey to City J3. To be honest, Rhea had already used that talisman in the beginning when she opened the world. At that time, the mana was used directly to the world inside her soul, so she was not afraid of the chaotic mana. But if it was used for her ordinary cultivation and training, then it's impossible. Unless one wanted to destroy their own future, they would never ever do something like this. The mana that was forcefully stuffed in would not be the one that was most suitable for them. And you're the only one who can do this due to the specialness of the dark element. Ria quickly added lest others also wanted to try it out. Is dark element really that strong? Amelia was stunned when she heard Ria's words. Samuel told them that among various elements, the dark and light elements were a bit special. The light element would be able to heal wounds far better than any other elements. As for the dark element, it contained traces of destruction or devour, depending on the person themselves. Ruben's dark element has some element of devouring. It was also because of this that he was able to advance quickly in his ranks and reached the peak stage of rank 3. It was much faster than Stephen, who has also become a magician as Stephen was 2 small stages lower than him. Not really. Every element has their own characteristic, but for other elements, their characteristic can only be seen after they had reached rank 7. Dark and light element are special because the characteristic can be seen from the first rank, Ria explained. At the same time, the people with the light and dark element affinity is much rarer compared to other elements. So for their small team to have both light and dark element, it could be said that Samuel's friends were really extraordinary. In normal times, it would be hard to find one person with light element among 10,000 people. The same is true for the dark element. But here 2 people have it. I see. The others nodded when they heard Ria's explanation. All right. Time to show your dark element. Ria turned to look at Ruben. You're close to rank 4, and if you can get the chance to break through that door, you can enter the rank 4 in this event. Ruben nodded solemnly. Also, your fighting skills mostly rely on the talisman that you have made, but you need to practice your magic spells. Otherwise, having so much mana is useless. I know, teacher. Seeing Ruben looked like a child who was reprimanded by his teacher, the others stifled their laugh. They really felt that Ruben was funny, but they didn't dare to say this out loud in case Ruben was really provoked. For dark element magic spells, Ria really knew more than the other element magic spells. Well, the main reason was because the dark and light element were rare and she has both elements. While she could not really use it effectively, but it would still be very useful when necessary. Because of this, Ria learned a few magic spells of the dark element. As for the light element, she only learned the few basic spells. The control over the light element magic spell in the place where she stayed in that world was a bit stricter. It was not that easy to learn these magic spells. Let's start, Ria said when she saw the magic beast had gotten closer to them and said, the first one, attack magic spell. Yes, Ruben said and then quickly started chanting. I am the devourer of the darkness. Let the power of the dark element come out and strike my enemy hard. Speak of darkness. Swoosh! Dark spear appeared in front of him and rushed towards the magic beast in front of them. The speed was so fast that the magic beast had no time to react and then got stabbed to death. Good. Samuel nodded when he saw this. As Ruben's magic rank increased and his mana pool also expanded, the magic spells he learned would have much power than before. Right now, this magic spell would be very useful when fighting against other magic beasts. Why did you only use the basic counterattack shield when fighting in the past? Amelia couldn't help but complain. Next, let's spar too. Ruben. Arnold, who was fighting, also added. Ruben's face was dark. These magic spells consumed so much of my mana. If I hadn't become a magician, I would never be able to use these. For some reasons, Ruben really liked to use the simple magic warrior's magic spells compared to magician's magic spells. After all, he was also using the talisman that he made for his battle. Why should he waste his mana in fight? But after Ria found out about it, she stuffed him a few dark element magic spells and told him that he had to use it. If he only thought about keeping his mana to make talisman, his fighting capability would not be very good. As for using that counterattack shield, that shield was good, but it would be ineffective after reaching higher rank. Ruben had no other choice but to listen to Ria's words and practice these dark element magic spells. Next, the control spell, Ria said. Yes. Reuben quickly took a deep breath and started chanting, I am the devourer of the darkness. May the darkness come forth and halt the movement of my enemies. Dark swamp trap. Swoosh. They were still in the car and the ground behind them turned into dark swamp almost immediately. And when the magic beasts that chased after them were close, they were directly swallowed into the swamp and roared unwillingly. Unfortunately, their strength was far from being able to escape from this dark swamp. Gurgle, gurgle. Wow, it's really strong. Amelia was surprised when she saw this and looked at Reuben with newfound light. Chapter 519, Magic Spells Essence. It's nothing much. Reuben scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. These magic spells were only rank 1 to rank 2 magic spells, and Rhea had told him that the difference between these two ranks were only in the amount of mana he used. So if he were to use more mana for the magic spell, the power is the same as rank 2 magic spell, and there was no need for him to learn other magic spells. Considering that Reuben was already busy because of Rhea to learn various runes and formation, Rhea also didn't want Reuben to learn too many magic spells. At least, he learned 3 types of dark element magic spells to protect, attack, and to stop the enemies. This would help him to protect himself. Can I ask something? Yes. The first sentence of your magic spell. Why is it devour? Is it because of your characteristic? Amelia asked curiously. Their magic spells seemed to be like borrowing the power of nature, and the sentences were relatively polite. They were not as exaggerated as those magic spells of the magicians from the Magic Association, but they were different from the poetic-like magic spell that Joan learned. The first sentence seemed to be representing themselves, or more like their position in their element. This made Amelia curious. That? Reuben was stumped and turned to look at Rhea. He didn't think too much when he was learning the magic spells and only knew that this was something that Rhea asked him to learn. But if he was asked to analyze the magic spells, sorry, he had no such capability. The first sentence of a magic spell is usually to state your position. Well, it's not really suitable to say its position, but it's more like your stance in front of your magic element or even your characteristic, Rhea explained calmly. For the dark element, it's usually either the devourer or the destroyer. Of course, you can also use other characteristic when making your own magic spell. Making their own magic spell? They all silently shook their heads in their heart. Aside from Samuel, who might make his own magic spell in the future to supplement his ability, the others would not even dare to think about this. After all, making magic spells were actually not so easy. Except if they wanted to mess around like those magicians from the Magic Association and made the children's version for magic spells, which indeed didn't really need to think too much. But it sounds strange, Amelia murmured in a low voice. Rhea chuckled when she heard Amelia's voice. It's indeed a bit strange, but when you use your magic spells, you're basically imagining yourself as part of your element. Because in order to borrow the power of nature, you need to be part of the nature itself. This is the basis for magic spells. But most people would not care about it as long as they could use magic and only followed the magic spells routinely. I'm sure that the magic spells used by the magic warriors also has some rules and so on. While the magic spells used by those magicians from the Magic Association were a bit hard to hear, but Rhea could tell that they were still following the rules to a certain degree. Magic is the power of nature. It was only borrowed, and in order to borrow it, they had to become part of nature. This was the essence of the magic spell that Rhea learned in that world. Yes, there are some rules to follow, but the details can be changed according to the person themselves, Samuel replied. There's no fixed rules, as magic is also the manifestation of your connection with nature and the way to express it. The others didn't quite understand about it and looked at Samuel. That's the theory I learned. To be honest, Samuel himself couldn't say that he completely understood magic. But he knew that the mana that was produced by nature could be used by humans, and the way they used it was through magic. It was just that everyone's affinity is different, and there might even be magic outside of the elemental magic. But Samuel didn't know the details. After all, he's a magic warrior, and the magic he learned was part of the elemental magic. Anyway, you only need to know that the first sentence for the magic that we learned had to start this way. Rhea shook her head. Even if she explained everything, she doubted that they would be able to understand. Besides, these theories were useless unless they planned to make their own magic spells. And there are some special magic that has longer chance, Ria added. The chants from those magicians from the Magic Association are long, but they can actually be simplified because the use of these words are to arouse the mana fluctuation in our bodies and then use these mana in the form of magic spell. And the power of the magic spells should have been related to the length of the magic spells. The longer the magic spells, the more powerful it would be because you're basically driving the mana in your body longer for preparation for a powerful magic spell. Ria's expression changed a bit. But it seems that these magicians from the Magic Association didn't know that. This was because Ria had already heard those magicians from the Magic Association's magic spells. The magic spells that they used didn't seem to follow this rule. Some of them even think that as long as the song and lyrics sounded good, they could launch any kind of magic spells. It was really messy. And Ria felt that the person in charge of the magicians from the Magic Association didn't seem to care and didn't bother to correct their mistakes. Will the magic spells that those magicians from the Magic Association used affect the magic? Amelia asked. Chapter 520, Bicker. Of course it'll be affected. Ria chuckled. But it wouldn't be visible on the surface, and I don't think that anyone will care that much about it. Huh? Why? Because they didn't see the authentic magic and didn't know the difference. Ria paused for a moment as she remembered something. Speaking of which, Dina Alden is a magician, right? She should have used the proper magic spells when using magic. Ria turned to look at Samuel. She didn't know too much about the other returnees, and the person who should know more is Samuel. Yes, she's a magician, but I don't know much about her magic spells, Samuel replied and turned to look at his sister. Even though Amelia was stimulated and practiced like a madman for a period of time, she would still spare some time to browse the forum and looked at various videos about other bases and so on. If Samuel was not wrong, Amelia should have also seen the videos from Dina. Her magic spells didn't seem to be any different from those magicians from the Magic Association. Amelia looked confused when she heard what Ria and Samuel said. She did watch the video, but from what she had seen, there were not much difference between the magic spells used by the magicians from the Magic Association and Dina Alden. At least, as far as she could see, they were all singing and dancing. Wait, she also sing and dance? Reuben was stunned. Amelia nodded blankly. Is she beautiful? Bletek, why the hell are you asking this to me? The others? Reuben rubbed the back of his head that was hurt after being hit by Amelia. He felt that after becoming a magic warrior, Amelia has become much more violent than before. This girl would not hit others so easily before. The world change was indeed not a good thing. It was difficult for him. As far as I know, Dina is a beautiful woman. It just depends on your taste, Samuel said to Reuben. Really? Reuben's eyes lit up. He hadn't had the chance to see beautiful women dancing. After all, those magicians from the Magic Association were not exactly young anymore, and those who were young were still of low rank. Their magic spells were not as intensive as those who had reached higher rank. 1 or 2 magic spells and their entire mana bottomed out. Well, what kind of performance do they want to make in such situation? They could only work hard to meditate and try their best to become stronger. Maybe. Samuel was not sure either. Amelia rolled her eyes. You can take a look at it later. I will. Seeing Reuben so energetic, Amelia rolled her eyes once more and murmured, Tisk, men are really annoying. The 3 men in the car. We can hear you. Ria chuckled when she saw this situation and shook her head. She glanced to the back and saw that the magic beasts had come closer and said, Reuben, the 3rd magic spell. I still have to continue. Reuben felt dejected when he heard Ria's words, but after seeing that the magic beasts were getting closer, he quickly chanted, I am the devourer of the darkness. May the darkness combine and protect me. Dark wall. Swish. Dark element wall quickly formed behind them, completely blocking their vision. The same happened for the magic beasts as they couldn't see them. And then, boom! Many of these magic beasts didn't have time to stop and crashed onto the dark wall. And they could hear the roar and wailing of these magic beasts even from the distance. Does your dark wall has any property? Amelia asked curiously. Her magic spells were very simple since it was only wind and lightning element. But Reuben's magic spells seemed to be a bit special. Huh? What property? I mean, some characteristic. It's just a dark wall? Reuben asked back in confusion. Amelia, forget I asked. It's just a simple elemental wall, Ria said and then added. In fact, you can also make it with your wind element or your lightning weight. There's no lightning wall. Due to the shape of the lightning, it's impossible to make lightning wall. After all, lightning happened because of the difference of the electron in nature. And when the magicians used lightning element, they would also release it quickly with their mana, stimulating the situation where the lightning occurred in nature. Due to this reason, it's basically impossible to create a lightning wall. I know the wind wall, but it consumes so much mana. Amelia's expression distorted slightly when she thought about this. She had tried to make the wind wall once in the past, but the result was not very good. Her mana bottomed out almost instantly and Amelia felt that it was really not good. She hoped that she could use less mana when using magic, but if she was using magician's magic spells, it was impossible for the mana consumption to be small. Don't make large wind wall, just enough to protect yourself. Ria looked at Amelia speechlessly. If Amelia were to make the same wind wall as those magicians, then it was indeed impossible for Amelia not to use up her entire mana pool. After all, Magic Warrior's mana pool was much smaller compared to magicians. Even if they tried their best to increase their mana, it was simply impossible for them to catch up with the magicians. Samuel himself didn't even try to increase his mana that much. Having 1/10 of Ria's mana was already very good for him. Ah, is it possible? Just ask Samuel for that. Ria pushed Samuel out. I don't think that I used that much mana when using Wind Wall spell. Samuel looked at his sister suspiciously. He could also use Wind Element and it might not be very big, but it was just enough to protect himself. Did his sister simply use up the entire mana pool when using the magic spell?